It's Thunderbolts week, everybody. That means we got so many Marvel rankings coming to you this week. The first one, today we are going to rank the Thunderbolts members. Before I dive right in, please make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, and tell me down below what are your ranking of the Thunderbolts members. You can choose Valentina if you want or not. I'm not going to include her on my list. Just because she's not superpowered, she's not really part of the team. She's kind of the villain of the movie, so I'm not really going to include her in this ranking. But I would love to know what are your ranking of the characters down below. And with that said, stay tuned for so many more Marvel rankings coming this weekend. And last place, Taskmaster. Taskmaster is one of the MCU's biggest disappointments. I would love to say that Taskmaster is awesome. In the comics, he's one of my favorite villains. But what they did with her in this franchise just did not work for me. Whether it's in Black Widow, where she's really cool throughout the entire movie. When the action scenes are happening, when she's doing what she's doing, it's really cool. But then we get that twist, which is the worst twist in the MCU. Where, Taskmaster, someone who literally can not manipulate, but use any superhero's powers just by watching them. You turn it into the villain of that movie, one of the most forgettable villains in the MCU, that villain's daughter. Okay, the twist is really weak. And then the way she's utilized in Thunderbolts is, well, really not at all. A lot of people knew that she was going to die pretty early on. It's exactly what she is. She gets literally one line in the movie, and the line is something like, "I'm not here for you," or something like that. And John Walker shoots her in the head, and that's it. Now, on one hand, I see this as the opportunity for Marvel to actually go down the real Taskmaster route. If you look at the other previous bad twist in the MCU that a lot of people hated, I personally didn't hate this one, but a lot of people did, where the Mandarin ended up being a random actor inside Iron Man 3. What happened later? Phase 4 comes around, and the Mandarin becomes the villain of Shang-Chi, and we actually get the real Mandarin. I hope that's what they're doing. I hope we're going to get an actual Taskmaster, an actual real Taskmaster in the future. For now, it kind of just feels like it's out with the old. People did not respond to that. We got to kill her, and then we'll be back. We'll be back with another Taskmaster. So, as cool as she had potential to be after the very beginning of Black Widow, as soon as you introduce that twist, it's nothing. I do wish in Thunderbolts that they did try to make her do something, because I do feel like if they do something right in Thunderbolts, which Thunderbolts is an amazing movie, they possibly could have done something right, I think that would be much better. I think they could possibly do something with her character. They decided to just kill her off. So, that's what they do in this movie. She's very easily last place. Number 6, we got Ghost. Now, Ghost is a character that first premiered in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I thought she was a decent enough villain. Couldn't really connect with her because she's like born in a lab, or she's in a lab her whole life, whatever. I always thought she was an okay character. She was just okay, never really did anything too special, at least in my opinion. Her character in this movie is decent. Now, this is a movie that explores trauma, it explores grief, and we explored her trauma and grief in Ant-Man and the Wasp. So we don't really get to see much of her trauma and grief in here. I feel like if we got like a trauma box with her in it, I feel like that would be one of the least compelling ones in this movie. But we don't. She's just kind of there. She cracks a joke every now and then. They use her power to face through things quite a bit. But she never really had something to connect with. She was always the Thunderbolt member that's just like, oh, she's there. She's there. She's helping our Thunderbolts. She has a line or two every now and then. But was never like the character that, oh, snap. Oh, snap. This is a very good emotional trauma that we're exploring. Never really did that. So she's a decent character, utilized much more than Taskmaster 100%, but she really was never like the sole focus of this movie. They never decided to do something extraordinary with her character. Little bit disappointing that we didn't do that, but still, I feel like that probably could make the movie feel a little bit bloated if we explored her past a little more, like we already did in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Number 5, and this is a pretty big hot take, I'm going Bucky Barnes. Now, here's where I start going from that they have very little issues, where with Ghost, she's just like a middle-of-the-road character. She's fine in the movie, and Taskmaster, just kind of a complete waste in the MCU of what they've done with her. Bucky Barnes is a really good character, was amazing in The Winter Soldier, amazing villain. Civil War, where his plot kind of starts to unravel and he starts to become the good guy. And then in Infinity War, Endgame, really good that he is now the hero. And then in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, as terrible as the writing in that show was, I did like the fact that he was trying to make amends, and that was the best part and most emotional part of that show. And in this movie, he's kind of like Ghost, where we've seen him before, we've explored his trauma before, we didn't get a trauma box for him, we didn't really get even a character arc for him. He is significantly better than Ghost. He is a bigger part in the movie. He's kind of the hero here that is forcing our characters to do the good. But he never really was like a character in the movie that really had his big moment. He was just there as a leader of the Thunderbolts. And he's good. He had a funny line, he had some cool action sequences, but he never had that emotional connection in the movie. Now, that's not a complaint. We've had plenty of emotional connection with Bucky in the past. So much emotional connection with Bucky. He's the one that clearly appeared in most movies and shows, but we never really got him to do anything in the Thunderbolts. So he has to go that low for that specific reason. I still really do like Bucky, however. Number 4, we got Red Guardian, and he's only going at number 4 because I feel like in Black Widow, he's kind of unlikable for the majority of the movie. He's very unlikable for the majority of Black Widow. Because for the majority of Black Widow, he's just like trying to get his glory days. He's literally got a scene where he's talking with Yelena, kind of a big emotional scene, and he goes, "It's actually Red Guardian. My name's actually Red Guardian." He stops talking about all the emotions and just cracks a joke there. Pretty unlikable. By the end of the movie, they start to become the family that they needed to be. Started to like him a little better. He's amazing in the Thunderbolts movie. He never really had that specific, like, trauma scene that we explored, but he never had that. But, he was the funny guy. He was the guy that cracked the most jokes. He was the guy that got the biggest laugh out of me. And he's a guy that did have that one big emotional scene with Yelena. We didn't explore his trauma. We didn't explore his past. We explored him as a father. Especially in the one scene in the middle of the movie, or near the end of the movie, where he's with Yelena and he's telling her that he doesn't see her mistakes. One of the best scenes in the movie, and that is the first scene in this movie out of 2 scenes that genuinely made me cry. That is an amazing scene. Fantastic scene with Red Guardian. Explores him as a dad, and he has the funny lines in this movie. So he's the character that made me laugh the most, and they had the one scene. We never, like I said, never explored his past, never explored his trauma, and I think exploring his trauma would be a little bit interesting, specifically because he has that trauma from when Dreykov threw him in prison, and his past, and him, like, constantly loving the Red Guardian mantle. But we never did explore that. A little bit disappointing in that aspect, but still, he had the scenes that made me cry. Breaks my heart to do this, to put number 3, John Walker. And he's only going in number 3 because the writing in Falcon and the Winter Soldier is terrible. Writing in Falcon and the Winter Soldier is the worst writing in the MCU. Literally in that show, all he has to do is complain, "Oh, I don't have the super soldier serum. I can't fight the super soldier bad guys because I don't have the super soldier serum." Wyatt Russell doing the best he can in that show. Still like the character, still really glad that we saw him in this one. I'm excited to see him more in the future. Annoying in the show just because of the writing. And here, the writing's much, much better, and you like him much more as a character. Whether he's just kind of being the dick character where, you know, I was in the military. He was in the military, guys. He's kind of being the jerk. But then you have those soft scenes where he's showing that he cares in the tiniest ways. And it's awesome. It's awesome. Along that, I love Wyatt Russell, and I love that Wyatt Russell's in the MCU. I love Kurt Russell as well, but Wyatt Russell I really do like. And I love this character of U.S. Agent. I really think he's a cool character. And we got that stuff here. We got to see him do his powers more. We did even get to explore a little bit of his trauma. This is the first character out of 3 that we really did explore his trauma, where he's just kind of a deadbeat dad. He kind of turned into a deadbeat dad. His family left him. And you get that one scene where they're sitting around the hole talking, and Bucky goes, "Hey, I'm sorry that your wife left you, but we got to do this." And you get that scene where he's just sitting there with Yelena, and they look at each other, and John's like, yeah, that happened. And it's one of the best scenes in the movie because Wyatt Russell conveys this character so great. Everything that they wanted to do nails the character perfectly, nails the family aspect, nails the aspect of John Walker, what he needs to be. And I absolutely loved him. And he's still one of my favorite characters inside of the MCU. So I wish I could put him higher. The other 2 on this list are amazing as well. Number 2, it's so hard to decide if I like Bob or Yelena more. Number 2, I'm going Bob. And this is a character that is absolutely amazing. One of the best, a top 3 villain in the MCU. I'm pretty sure. I'm seeing this movie again tomorrow, I hope. And so maybe he'll move up. I love him. I love Bob. Whether he's just being Bob and we get the sequences where he's with John Walker in the group and they're all saying Bob and he's comedic relief. But you also feel the sadness, the pain that he's going through. And the sequences that we get with everyone saying that, is he the right fit to be the superhero? He's depressed. He has a tragic past. And it really proves that he's not right to be the superhero because he turns into the Void later on in the film. And it's really emotional. His past is really emotional when we see him in the Void just sitting there listening to his parents over and over and over tell him he's not good enough, he's not good, that he's a useless mistake. And it's hard to sit there and watch him take it. He, several times in the film, he's like, this would be better if I just wasn't here. And it depicts that depression and the depression that he holds perfectly. The script and the direction portrays their story about depression perfectly throughout Bob. And as much as I love Bob, it hurt to see this character going through depression, going through something that so many others, kind of including me, have gone through. And it really makes me connect with him as a character. And then we get the final scene in the movie where literally he is stopped by a hug. The group hugs him. And it really proves that a simple hug could save a life. Could save the world pretty much in MCU terms. But a simple hug could save a life. And he's the perfect depiction of depression. Amazing. What they did with this character was fantastic. Everything I wanted Bob to be, they did. And it was amazing. And then we're going to get him later on as Sentry in the Avengers movie, and he's going to be so powerful, he's going to be awesome. So there's that. But besides that, perfect depiction of depression, really powerful character, excited to see him in the future, and they depicted him perfectly. But number 1, I got to go with Yelena. I've loved Yelena ever since she was in Black Widow. Florence Pugh is absolutely incredible, obviously. So she was just a lot of fun in that movie. And then in Hawkeye, she had the emotional scenes where she's trying to avenge her sister's death. And she also interacted with Kate Bishop, which is hilarious stuff. So already one of my favorite characters in the MCU. And in this movie, very clearly from the beginning, it started off like, yeah, I'm depressed, I'm sad. And you connect with this character because she's wondering, is her life fulfilled? Is this what she wants to do? Is she tired of doing the same thing over and over again? She's sad. And you connect with this character that you have had time in the MCU. Even though she's only been in 2 projects, you have had time in the MCU to connect with, to love. So seeing a character that you already love inside the MCU going through all this trauma is great. Plus, you get to see a little bit of her background inside of the Red Room, which was pretty cool in there as well. That it really did have those emotional sequences that she really didn't know any better because she was a kid, but she had to do it, and she's still facing the trauma and pain of that. And it's tragic, it's emotional, it's incredible. She's just a character that we love. We see her going through depression, and while Bob is the perfect depiction of depression, I have to edge Yelena a little bit higher. Just because of how much we've seen her in the MCU and how much we've already loved her since then. So excited to see Florence Pugh more. I love Florence Pugh. So thank you guys for clicking on this video. We have an MCU Multiverse Saga films ranked. And then we're going to have an MCU Thunderbolts movies ranked. So we're going to rank every movie that the Thunderbolts characters are in. And with that said, subscribe.